friends, welcome to another video. We're here back in the craft room on this very snowy and miserable day. And as promised last week, I guess I promised, we're going to be doing a craft with me video today. Today we will be making something that I've been making a lot of recently in preparation for an upcoming craft fair, and that is a handmade journal. These are handmade, upcycled journal, I guess. They're handmade because they are, of course, handmade, also hand sewn. You can see the hand sewing on this one. You can see that there, very cool. But it's also upcycled because it's made from an old book. If you watched my silent video from last month in Vlogmas, you'll know that I went to a book fair and I got some things. I spent $10 on objects that I was going to upcycle, and this book is one of the things that I bought. I actually bought 5 books just like this one. I guess they were in a set, and they're the best of the world's classics, and I guess it's about different philosophers from the age. This one is about Roman philosophers. There was one we're going to work with today that's about Greek philosophers, and 3 more about American and English philosophers. Anyways, I did this book right away, like right after I got the things, just to see how they look, and they look great. So I thought it'd be a fun idea for a video to completely recreate this using one of the other books, so you can see the process that I use to make these from start to finish. This isn't going to be a traditional DIY. There are much better people for learning how to sew these books on YouTube that I will actually link in the description below. One of them that I highly recommend for any sort of book related DIYs is Sea Lemon. She is an incredible creator who I had a pretty good foundation about how to make books before really delving into the world of DIY YouTube. But thanks to her, I can say that the reason I'm fairly good at this is because of her. So definitely check her out. Definitely look at her videos. So we'll go ahead and get started. Here we are back at the craft desk at our little station. We got our little blanket right here. Gonna get nice and cozy. So this is our sample book. Again, it started out, here is our new victim. This is what it started out looking like, the world's best classics. It's got a pretty spine on it, and they're actually in pretty good shape, so even if you did want to read them, you could. So that's that. But what we did with this one is that we not only did we keep the cover, because again, we want to keep sort of the personality and the identity of the book as much as possible, but we folded back the spine of the book to preserve that so you could see more about it. Then we choose a nice little liner paper. I put my my sticker here as to sort of mark what I am doing, and then we have our pages. And then in the back here, this is a page from the inside of the book with some, etchings of who the book is about, so that, again, just sort of keeps the identity of the book. And then we used the same paper that we used to line it in here is the paper that we used to give it an identity on the back. So this is the book that we started out with, so this is what we're going to use as sort of a goal to work towards. So this is our existing book. So let's talk about supplies real quick before we get started. Before we get too into it, rather. So the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is you're going to need some inside pages for your book. This is paper that I get from it's in Indianapolis, a teacher supply store called United Arts and Education. It's a paper that's used for drawing. It's really, really nice for sketching, for writing. We're going to need the book itself, of course. We're also going to need an accent page to act as this, because what we do is that we preserve the spine by wrapping it around the inside of the cover, and then we will take this back, and instead of having a raw edge right here, we will wrap it in an accent paper, which kind of finishes up nicely, so it looks nice and cool in there. So for that, we're actually going to be using this really cool marble. I got this at Hobby Lobby. They have 4 for $1 paper, and every time I'm in there, I have to buy at least 4 pages. So when I was talking about the fact that I use the identity of the books to sort of inspire and lead my design, this is a great example of how I do that. Because this is about philosophers, and this one is specifically about Greece. So this paper was secondary. What was first was that during the course, the same field sale that I got these at, I also got a book about Renaissance art. And in that book of Renaissance art was a copy of, I think it's Raphael's School of Athens. So this painting is about what this book is about. Like, these people who are listed in this book are right here. In fact, I think it's Plato and Aristotle who are directly in the center of this painting. So we are going to incorporate this painting into the design of this book. And that is where the marble came from, because I wanted to echo all of the marble in here. In addition to this, I also wanted a few more accent pages just to be safe, specifically for in here. And I got this from my scrap collection. This is just a very pretty red that I thought would complement both of these nicely. The other thing we kind of need is some thread. This thread will be used for the sewing. As you can see, this is a gradient thread, so we're not going to use that, but it is going to be a solid color thread that we will use. In addition to that, we need a ruler, we need an X-Acto knife, we need a pencil. Where'd that go? Did I lose that already? We need a needle, which I have temporarily misplaced. Oh, here it is. I have some really good rounded needles. You can see how big this guy is. I have some really good rounded needles, or curved like upholstery needles, that I use for Coptics, and I love them, but I cannot find them. I think I left them at work. And the other things we're going to need is that we're going to need a jar of glue. This is just tacky glue that I have watered down. There is specific glue you can get for bookmaking, but it's super expensive, and I found that this works just as well. So we're going to need that. We're going to need a brush. This has seen better days, but who cares? And then I'm going to need some clamps. And for clamps, I will use, generally, I have some very large binder clips. And then I've also got this little clip, which I guess is just like a clamp that I use in my photo studio life that we're going to be using for this. So I've got a whole bag of these in case I need them. So that's sort of what we're going to do. All right, let me put this stuff to the side. Real quick, before we do that, I kind of wanted to talk about how much this all costs, because I am ultimately trying to sell these. For the longest time, I just made books for the hell of it, and I wasn't selling them. But then I had someone kind of bring it to my attention that, Jordan, you know, you have a lot of materials going into these. Like, you're doing these, sell them. And I've started selling them, which is why I do this now. In fact, I have a current goal that by the next craft fair that rolls around, which is the first Thursday in May, I would like to have 100 books made. So right now I'm sitting at about 35, and I am well on my way with ones like these. So I just wanted to sort of break down, hopefully you can see this, I wanted to break down sort of the cost. So basically the book cost me 50 cents. The marble paper down here cost me $0.25. The inside pages, they cost 6 cents each. So 6 times 14, which is how many we're going to use here, that's 84 cents. And then the thread, I won't use this entire bobbin of thread, but we're just going to say that we did, and we're going to say we used half of it, which we probably will. They are 60 cents each. So we're still going to say the thread is 30 cents. This page, this School of Athens, and these pages were from my scrap. This was from a book that I paid 20 cents for, that I used for other reasons, that I harvested for its covers. So this price is negligible, this price is negligible. The other stuff I already have around. If I had to put a price on the glue, I would say I buy a giant thing of tacky glue, and it's usually $4, and it gives me about 3 of these jars. So again, completely negligible, and I sort of think that, you know, it won't matter. So how much was all that? Probably be a good, oh yeah, $1.89. So this is probably going to be a $5 book. So that's a $3 profit, which I know I could put my own time and energy, I could put a price on that, but I don't really care that much because I like doing these. It's fun for me. So I tend not to think of it as that way. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to clear this bench off, and we're going to work on the covers. So I'm going to show you guys how I harvest and cut up these specific books, because while this isn't going to be a DIY, this is the one part of it that Sea Lemon or whoever else you go with doesn't really talk about and doesn't really cover, so I am going to show you how I do that. So give me 1 second. Okay, here's our book, our victim, if you will. And what we're going to do is that we basically want to keep the cover, we want to keep the spine, but we want to remove the inside pages. So all of this we want gone. And if you've ever noticed the way that books are assembled, if you hold the text block, which is what this is called, if you were to hold the text block in your hands and pull this back, there's actually only a little bit of paper holding that into place right there. So when able to, this is for a lot of books, not all books, but most books are like this. Like, this is not one I'm going to be destroying because it's one that I'm actively using, that it's like a Q&A a day. It's the same thing, that if you pull this up, you will see that it's only a thin strip of paper that's actually holding the case block to the covers. So what we are basically going to do is that all we have to do is just cut those little pieces right there. So we're just going to grab our handy dandy X-Acto knife. I buy these from Harbor Freight, 50 cents each. Now real quick, I know what you're thinking. Jordan, you are taking this perfectly functional book that could be read and enjoyed and used, and you are destroying it for your own personal gain. And you know what? You're right, but hear me out. I would like for you to keep a number in mind. That number is 320 million. 320 million. That is the number of books that end up in landfills every year in America alone. That's basically a book for every man, woman, and child and everybody else living in the United States. That is an obscene amount of books. That is an obscene amount of waste that is absolutely unnecessary. But I understand why that happens, because books go out of date. Like these books that we're dealing with right here, I mean, these are philosophy books from, from 1915. What possible good could those be? We have access to better resources now, and I mean, there are podcasts that can teach us the same thing, if not better things than those. We have access to information by many more diverse philosophers that aren't all old white men, which frankly I think is pretty cool. So these books, they're kind of outlived their usefulness. So what happens to them? They either end up in somebody's collection where they're hoarded, never treated, never used, and then eventually when that person dies, they get thrown away, or they get just thrown away right now. So either way, these books are destined for the trash. And I feel like I'm saving them from the trash. Yeah, could we send these books to some child living in Africa to teach them about philosophy? Sure, we could. Absolutely, we could. But I personally would rather invest in initiatives that bring fast, high-speed internet to those same children so that they can access up-to-date current information about not only this book, the contents of this book, but everything else about the world. I'd much rather give them that instead of giving them my trash, personally. So these books, not only am I saving them from the trash, but I'm ushering them into the next phase of their life kindly and with intention. Because not only will I reuse the covers, I will maintain the integrity and maintain the identity of the book to add character to the finished product, but I'm recycling what I can't. And that's the reason that books don't get recycled a lot, is just because it's so difficult to recycle books. I mean, you think about how many different types of materials are in, say, an encyclopedia, a single issue of that, or a single book of an encyclopedia, and that's not just something you can throw into a bin. No, there's a lot more steps that go into that. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in, is that when I go in and I upcycle these books, I am, not only am I upcycling them, but I'm recycling them. I am disposing of these books properly. And to me, that's a big deal. Because if I can cut back on the number, on that 320 million books that go into the landfill every year, then I feel like I'm doing okay. So that's my 2 cents about it. If you disagree, I totally get it. People who are book lovers probably think I'm crazy, but that's just kind of where I am when it comes to properly disposing of and taking care of books to help the environment, to save the environment. So that's where I am. We're just gonna carefully just slide our thing right in there, and then just drag it down. It can be tricky because you definitely don't want to hit the cover, hit the spine. So you just kind of have to be mindful of what you're doing, and then it should come off. Ones like these, sometimes there will be a like cloth backing on the inside of it, like a book cloth. So that just usually is easy, pretty easy just to cut out. So we got the one side done. And now we're just going to go to the other side and same thing. This is much easier to see because you can see how the only thing that's holding that in place is just that one piece of paper. So we're just going to slide our X-Acto knife in there, just whoop, all the way down, and that's it. So we'll set this aside for the time being and we'll talk about this. This is our case block. This is still a fully functional book, so if you really wanted to, you could read this. I don't think anybody's going to read this. Let's look at the, yeah, you can see the age on that. Can you see that? 1909. So, printed in the United States of America. Very cool. What we're going to do next with these is we're going to put them in a box. And I work a few blocks away from a store that I used to work at, a print lab and photo studio. They have something called a stack cutter. And the stack cutter is really nice because you can literally put this in the machine and it goes boom, and it separates them so that basically all that you're left with is like a fraction of an inch that contains this part, which is not recyclable, and then the rest of this is going to be put into recycling. So when I talk about upcycling and I talk about saving books and recycling them responsibly, this is what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, it did not go in the box. Okay, so we are left with this friend. Spot of this project that I unanimously consider the worst and most miserable part, and that is folding these inside pages. This is the bag in which pages usually live in. What I will do is that I will sit and watch TV or listen to music or listen to podcasts and just fold and stick them in here, then able to pull them out. But as you can see, we are empty right now. So we're gonna have to fold these individually. so we got this all sewed up. As you can see, there are a couple nicks and stuff. You can see that. There are a couple nicks and stuff in the paper. That's what I get for not having my curved needles. Again, I don't know where they are, and I'm concerned because I obviously love them. So I'll move this a little bit. Here's the finished product. The best of the world's classics. Open it up. We got our nice marble with our spine right here. We got pages empty and ready for your thoughts, your feelings, your own great classic. Then here on the back cover, we just have a nice red filler, and then we have our School of Athens painting by Raphael as if to complement the entire thing. So that's done. The very, very last thing that I do, and this is more for me than anything else, is that I will usually put it on the very back corner here, is that I have labels that I have started putting on my journals as a way to mark them. And I'll just stick that right there, smooth it on, and we have ourselves a finished book. I'm pretty pleased with the way this one turned out. Again, the nicks on here are, they are what they are. I'm just gonna find those needles again. So now we have two sibling books that are gonna go into my my basket filled with all my other completed books that are going to be for sale. I'm thinking these are going to be for sale in the $5 price range. I don't think that I could really justify selling these for $10, so these are going to be $5 ones. And yeah, that's that. So I hope you guys, like I said, this isn't like a DIY because I obviously didn't do a very good job at DIYing it, but I did kind of give you input on how I make these, my creative process. I think that's going to be it for today. It is Saturday. Sunday, which is tomorrow, of course, I am going to be doing another craft that I am really excited about. I had to order some stuff special from Amazon to do it, and it came in this week. And I'm going to be doing that. I'm not going to make a full-fledged video about it. It's going to be what I'm calling a midweek mini-sode, which are kind of like a smaller, not full-fledged video like this, which is going to be like a half hour long. So that's that, and I just wanted to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you tomorrow, or see you next week. Have a good one.